Hello, welcome to Simon's Trading Channel. My name is Simon. This is my daily Bitcoin price action analysis. Happy Monday to you, start of the week. A week of, maybe some opportunities. A week that only time will tell, but I feel, in my humble opinion, will turn into another one within this awful range. This $15,000 range. This range of the 60s and a little bit of the 70s. My word. It's been going on now for some time. And when I say some time, 5 weeks. And I do wonder if there's another couple of weeks left in it. But anyway, before I get into some more of the detail, I just want to remind you that nothing that I say is financial advice. But hopefully it's logical, makes sense, and it may be in some ways entertaining. And my Labrador Steve has come to say hello, but he's camera shy, he's just walked off. So thanks, Steve. Thanks for that. You just sort of licked me on the thigh. Right, so I've lost my trail of thought. Let's just get straight in to the 4-hour chart, which is the one you see right before your eyes. And as you can see, the range is there to behold, the range that I've been going on about for 5 weeks. I'm bored with it, Bitcoin. I'm bored with the range, and I'd like it if you did something else. So if you're listening, please do something else, because I feel like I've covered this price action a few times now, Bitcoin. Anyway, I'm going to stop the ranting and get on with it. So MACD is well below the zero line, as you can see. The momentum is still to the downside, but the momentum to the downside is waning a little bit. It's not waned completely, but it's waning a little bit. You can see that it's moved up a little bit from the low here. And it remains to be seen if it gets lower, but at the moment, the momentum to the downside has waned a little bit. That does not mean it's over. It just means exactly that the pressure isn't as great as it was. And you can see I've drawn a trend line on here now. It's a line of randomness, whatever you want to call it, but it's just representing the lower highs along the way down there. Now, as of yesterday's video, I can't remember if I talked about this yesterday, but the bottom of the range, the midpoint of the range is 66,000, and Bitcoin has secured its place below there. Now, I guess the question is it likely to come back and, more importantly, close below on 4 hours and dailies, 59,000 or high 58s? Because that will be a lot more significant than this, and than this. And when I say significant, I mean that will likely beget continuation below the bottom of the range. And as I've said quite a few times, you've got to be looking at targets down back to the low 50s at that point. But, that's in the future. But that's certainly a line in the sand, as well as a line on my chart for Bitcoin. Now, to put a bit more flesh on the bones, I'm just going to zoom down to the 15-minute chart. Come on, 15-minute chart. And you can see impulsive move down, bearish consolidation, impulsive move down. And then a slightly different picture. This was clearly, this looked like a bearish consolidation, and started to put in some higher lows or some higher highs to go with the higher lows. But that's been negated basically around the midpoint, and now it's come back down. So the question is it going to get back down below there? Well, by the looks of things, maybe. That's really helpful. Thank you, Simon. My pleasure. But what you can see is that momentum on all the lower time frames, so 15-minute, hourly, 4-hour, and indeed the daily because it's now crossed below the zero line, and it won't cross back up until Bitcoin gets back above 65.4 on a daily time frame and nothing less. The momentum is indeed to the downside, and so you would have to have a downside bias. Now, that's just a momentum, but if I then look to the trend, what you can see is clearly a downtrend, and it will remain as such really on all the lower time frames until Bitcoin reclaims the midpoint. So 66,000, that would fit in with the MACD on the daily crossing back above the zero line, and when MACD is above the zero line on the daily, I have that in my mind as an indicator that momentum has shifted more to the upside rather than to the downside. Not just on the daily, on whatever time frame you're looking at, but price action back above here would prove that this is no longer a downtrend and has the etchings of an uptrend. And so maybe if I'll do a little scribble on the chart to paint that in a picture rather than 1,000 words. I'm probably well on the way to 1,000 words. So from the top, take it from the top. I overshot a bit with that one. So you can see here, for this to become a higher low, oh, come on now, what's wrong with my pencil? For that to become a higher low, Bitcoin needs to prove it is by putting in price action above this high. So, as always, trend is your friend, and the trend right now is to the downside, as are all of the momentums, apart from, well, on the time frames I look at, apart from the weekly, which is quite far from the zero line. I'm just referencing the MACD. I'm just referencing the MACD. You can use whatever momentum indicator you choose. I just like the MACD, and I like the way I use it personally. I don't think most people do use it the way I use it, but that's cool, right? We're all different, we're all individuals. So as you can see, as I just said, every time frame from the daily down, the ones I look at, the momentum is to the downside, and so you should not ignore that, or I should not ignore that. I haven't been in a trade for a while because I've got a bullish bias at the moment due to the overriding trend, and so I've been waiting for a good entry into a long, which may be on the horizon, because as you can imagine, when you're trading a $15,000 range, if you've got an upside bias, it's much better to get an entry point closer to the bottom of the range than anywhere else. But I've got certain criteria that I need before I can enter into one of my trades, and I'm not going to go into the details of that because it's personal to me. But yeah, that's the way I see it at the moment. So again, the midpoint kind of key, 66,000, Bitcoin back above there on any time frame really, but certainly 4 hour or above. What that signifies is that range remains intact, probably for another week, and that means we're getting a lot closer to what I predicted weeks ago, 8 weeks going sideways within the range, and then resolution to the upside. So I don't know if that's going to happen. It's just based on the history of the current bull run with consolidation and impulsive moves on the higher time frames. So what's that? 9.5 minutes. How time flies when you're having fun. Listen, I've got to go. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe. If you haven't and you thought it was rubbish, then please don't come back tomorrow because I'll be doing it all again. All right, take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow.